What is up, NFL fans? Kevin Phillip Fox here with the Legit Football NFL podcast. And every single time I talk to you, it feels like we're just closer and closer to that moment. Detroit Lions, Kansas City Chiefs, NFL kickoff. Ladies and gentlemen, I can hardly contain my excitement. I already know my co-host for today, Mr. Jimmy Ray. Can't contain his either. Jimmy Ray.
Let's go.
How are you, brother?
I'm doing good, man.
Says it all.
I'm doing good. I mean, I need to watch Ray Lewis's motivational speech at the beginning of that one Madden because I feel like that would get me even more pumped up, and I need that energy
wins
to come out of me.
championships.
Yeah,
I remember that.
gosh,
Dude, same here, man. Hey, Thomas is here. Thomas Bray in the chat. What up, Thomas? We got an action-packed show for you today. We have our legit headlines. We have a very fun main topic. This is sort of an interesting NFL thing. I can really remember it picking up steam in the last 5 or 6 years, but they've been doing it for, I want to say, close to a decade, maybe. This NFL 100 thing, I feel like I remember it starting to surface around like 2012, 2013 range. And this thing has just become this massive event that happens every offseason. But we're going to be reacting to the NFL 100 today. We're going to have our hot takes. We're going to have our pros and cons of it. Jimmy Ray, are you as excited as I am?
I am, man. I feel like they made these top 100 lists just so we can have something to talk about as we head into the season. I mean, that's what it's for, right? For the media to get all excited, all amped up. I mean, regardless of what you think, but
yeah,
we're just looking at these 100 players. It's going to change dramatically. I mean, a lot of players on here weren't even on here last year, so it's recency bias. It's some of the best players on one big list. It's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful, chaotic, messy, controversial thing. And Jimmy, you said it yourself. The NFL, nobody is better at creating moments out of their offseason than the NFL. And this is just another one added to the list with the schedule release and training camp and free agency and this, that, and the third. We could talk about it all day, but Jimmy, we have legit headlines to get. And we're starting off with a banger. We're starting off with an absolute banger, and this one's for our producer, Mr. Anthony Weiner. Lions have brought in quarterback Teddy Bridgewater, and they plan to start 3 rookies. The deal is expected to be for 1 year. Full terms have not been disclosed. Bridgewater will serve as the top backup for Jared Goff, who has proven to be quite durable since entering the league in 2016. Nate Sudfeld will shift to QB3. Last year, Bridgewater completed 62% of his passes for 683 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 4 picks across 5 games in Miami. The Lions are expected to start first-round running back Jahmyr Gibbs, first-round linebacker Jack Campbell, my favorite player in the NFL other than the Bills, and second-round safety Brian Branch. They're all planning to start day 1 against Kansas City, which, as of today, Jimmy, is only 30 days away.
Woo!
So take a deep breath. NFL.com's Greg Rosenthal thinks Jahmyr Gibbs could lead the NFL in snaps by a rookie player. Jimmy Ray, take this and run with it in whatever direction you want. Detroit Lions, Teddy Bridgewater, rookie starters, go.
I traded for Jahmyr Gibbs in a recent Dynasty League, and I'm hyped about it, man. I feel like, he's going to be such a fun player to watch and root for, right? That's what fantasy football's for. It's, not always for the results, it's just for the passion that it brings you for certain players and things like that aren't exactly on your favorite team. Like the Lions, I'm rooting for the Lions this year just based solely off of all the young guys. So I'm excited to see that. As for Teddy Bridgewater, love to see him in the NFL still getting a job. He's a serviceable backup for sure, and he deserves a job. It's just nice to see him playing football. And I feel like it's a great fit for the Lions and just a good backup piece in case something happens to the GOAT, Jared Goff. So
the GOAT to one of the 3 of us who are involved in the production of this podcast. I won't say who. But I love the analysis, Jimmy. Super, super jealous you got Gibbs in Dynasty. I ended up missing him by a couple picks.
I traded for him, so it was hefty.
I'm proud of you. What was
Thanks,
the haul? What was the haul?
I traded away Joe Mixon and Jerry Jeudy. Got Jahmyr Gibbs, a first and a second.
I'll say that's a fleece. I'll say you fleeced.
Probably a late first, yeah.
You fleeced me.
It's fine. I'll make it work. I can use the first and second.
You came up.
Absolutely.
Think. Mixon is going to be okay this year. Judy, question mark. But staying on topic here, Teddy Bridgewater, definitely one of those elite backup quarterbacks. Definitely one of those names that if you hear that he's sort of, kicking around the bench, there's a little bit more confidence in the event that a starter goes down. There's never going to be supreme confidence if a starter goes down. Starters for a reason, but there's a little bit more confidence than say, and here we go. We have producer thoughts on the screen from Anthony. Bridgewater is a starting backup. I made that up, meaning he has starter potential at the backup position, and that gives promise when the next man up narrative is discussed. Yeah, I think that's spot on, Anthony, and I appreciate the
It's like the opposite of Chase Daniel. Chase Daniels,
backup starter.
I mean, he's the back. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, backup starter. He's the starter of all the backups. He's getting that money. But Teddy Bridgewater, I think starting backup is actually a really cool. I don't know if I've ever heard that before, but it makes complete sense to me.
I think we know enough about Teddy Two Gloves to say that if he is a starter, he's one of the lower end starters.
Sure.
He's kind of, fizzled out a little bit with a handful of different teams. But let's not forget, he was on the career trajectory to be an elite quarterback. I want to say with Minnesota, and then he suffered that brutal injury. And we didn't know if he'd ever play again. And now he's collecting checks. He's been with the Saints. I believe he's been with the Panthers. He's been with now the Lions, the Dolphins. I have a lot of respect for the career that Teddy Two Gloves has had. And there's something to be said for being a great backup. There really is.
I will say I think it's a better situation than like the Buccaneers or something. You're choosing between Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield, and now the Lions have Teddy Bridgewater, who probably could compete in that same like quarterback competition and possibly win it. So I mean, for that guy as your backup, I think that's definitely solid. So they're looking to win this year, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, and I'm stoked because we knew Hendon Hooker would have some time with I believe he's recovering from a torn ACL, so we knew he would take some time and maybe not be a sufficient backup right off the bat. So nice insurance piece for the Lions if Goff were to miss some time, as is the case with all starters, especially the ones who are perceived top 12 to 15 guys. They go down. Sayonara to your season regardless, unless you're Nick Foles, the one time in NFL history where we saw that's kind of a crazy run.
Not last year.
Long time ago.
With the Colts,
no, he was bad Nick Foles. The sun has set on his Cinderella story. Midnight has struck, but that's okay because 2017 Eagles will always be a legendary moment in NFL history. Yeah, I think it's great what the Lions are doing with the rookies. I am a firm believer, the sooner the better, trial by fire. Throw them in there, let them learn as they go. Campbell, Gibbs, and I saw a safety as well, but correct me if I'm wrong, isn't the tight end isn't Sam Laporta projected to start as well?
I assume so. That's I was waiting for that name when you were first talking about it.
Really interesting.
He's one of those guys that like you see his name against the other guys on their list. I have the depth chart up. It's like Brock Wright, James Mitchell, Darrell Daniels. I mean, there's guys that like Sam Laporta has got to play. He's got to be.
He inspires a lot more confidence than the other names on that list for sure.
Absolutely. But the rookies are going to come in and ball out. The Lions are a young team overall, so I'm excited, and I think they're only going to get better, and hopefully they come out to a better start than they did last year because that could. I want to see them in the playoffs. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Oh, I think everybody on this podcast is desperate for the Lions to make the playoffs.
I was looking through the schedule last year, week 1, and they put up a fight against the Eagles last year, like 38-35 or something. They lost, but like it was a tough game week 1. I was looking back.
And the Lions were so entertaining in every game they were in, man. They were throwing haymakers. Thomas wants to shout out Teddy Two Gloves being good in Carolina without a line. I can agree with that. I think those were his best days as a starter. He seemed like a viable, competent starting quarterback at other than his early days with Minnesota. But I digress. Jimmy Ray, I think it might be time for us to move on to our next legit headline. Out of Texans training camp, my favorite team, wide receiver Tank Dell is standing out, and right tackle Tytus Howard is hurt. No Texans receiver has generated more training camp buzz than Dell, who has displayed elite separation skills and excellent chemistry with CJ Stroud. Dell is listed as the starting slot receiver on the Texans' first unofficial depth chart, which was published by the team on Monday. Houston selected Dell in the 3rd round. He led the FBS with 1,398 receiving yards and 17 touchdowns last season. Ooh. While there are limitations due to his size, he's 5'8", 165, he could not have proven himself more at the collegiate level, and his skill set appears to be translating to the next level. NFL.com's Greg Rosenthal writes that there is a legitimate chance Dell leads all Texans receivers in receptions this season.
No Nico
Now,
Collins?
Miko Collins, Dalton Schultz. As the resident Texans truther, I'll jump in here. And I am stoked about Tank Dell. He's definitely one of the pieces that I was the most intrigued by in my excitement for Tank Dell, or for the Texans, I should say. Stroud, Schultz, Singletary, Pierce, Dell, Collins, Bobby Trees,
Mechie.
John Mechie back.
Yeah.
Jimmy, there's a lot there that is interesting, and it's not like an elite top 10 offense by any stretch, but if you can take that piece, take this is their step, right, in their
Mhm.
ascension, right? Like we talked about the Lions last year having been ascending, and now they have to be ascended. I think this could be a year for the Texans to prove that they are at least in the right direction of ascending.
Yeah, they're planting a lot of seeds into the ground, and I think a couple of them might sprout depending on the summer they have, but the season as a whole that they do have. But I mean, there's a lot of like John Mechie, like you said, Tank Dell. I mean, they still have Robert Woods, I believe, too. So
Yeah,
they have some firepower, but the quarterback is what everybody,
rookie
yeah, the rookie
could be
quarterback.
tricky.
Everybody eyes is on him, but he could provide a jump in that offense that Davis Mills and everybody else did not
Yeah.
have. So
Yeah, and let's not forget, Jimmy. Let's not forget they also got they got theoretically the second and the third best player in the draft if you're going by, simple
it's true.
logic. They got Will Anderson as well, the edge, and he was, you know, touted as the best edge prospect in the last handful of drafts. So, if Will Anderson who we think he is, you know, people are going to poo-poo the Texans, and I'm one of those people for trading away their future draft pick, future
Mhm.
first round pick when they're not projected to be like a good or like an elite playoff team. But I think D'Amico Ryans is kind of trying to show his guys like, hey, I believe in us. Like this isn't just a rebuild. Like we can be competitive this year. Now, I do want to highlight this. Mike Elmore on Facebook says Schultz is a big upgrade and safety net for the offense. Exactly,
Absolutely.
Mike. Rookie quarterbacks need pass catching running backs, which Devin Singletary is average to slightly
Yep.
above average. He doesn't have the best hands, but he's pretty good at creating space and getting receptions. But Dalton Schultz is going to be massive for CJ Stroud's early development. Now, Jimmy, in lesser exciting news for my Cinderellas, Tytus Howard is injured. What do you think that does to the prospects of the team, to the rookie quarterback mindset, to that line as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's big because they just put in some big extensions with both their tackles and Tunsil and Howard. They wanted to secure that for their rookie quarterback. So depending on how long he's out, I'm not quite sure. That could kind of play a factor in, and especially the preseason as the rookie quarterbacks get out there and start warming up, start getting their feet wet in the preseason, stuff like that. I'm not sure if Tytus would even be playing in the preseason or how much he would be playing, but just getting those first team reps is always huge,
Yeah.
whether it's in training camp. And we don't see that 24/7 like we do when the season actually starts. So it's hard to like put into prospect how big of a deal that is. But training camp's huge for a lot of these guys. So having everybody together in one group learning and growing together is huge for the overall season. But the Texans, I mean, they just gotta just heal up Tytus and hopefully he comes back ready to ball out and protect his guys.
I love it, man. You can
Yeah,
imagine how unenthused I am as a Texans truther. Titus was
right.
a big part of the reason why, with him and Tunsil holding down the fort on both pillars of the offensive line, traded for Shaq Mason in the offseason.
Yeah,
Kind of seemed like their line was going to be really solid. And if Howard is set to miss time, I mean, Stroud's got some decent athleticism. He's got some maneuverability. He's not a statue foot. So, I do have faith that he'll be able to, but you don't want rookie quarterbacks to see ghosts, Jimmy. That's the famous
no,
last words
Sam
for a rookie
Darnold.
quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't want that. So, this is not far from ideal, but we'll keep our eyes on it. It's nothing too detrimental at the moment, it seems,
yeah.
but we'll keep an eye on it. Anything else out of Texans camp? Anything else on Dell or Howard that you want to talk about before we move on?
Let's move on, man.
Let's keep it
Let's see what
moving,
else we
man. We
got.
got a big old main topic that we're trying to get to. We got one more legit headline for you. And better late than never. Armand is in the chat. Hey now,
Woo!
his signature line.
Hey
I always
now,
wonder
hey
if he's
now.
I was just gonna say that. Is he quoting Lizzie McGuire?
I don't
This
know.
is what
Maybe that's
dreams are made of.
there you
Okay.
go. K
You like that?
E F. Absolutely.
All right. Desmond Ridder is set to get a lengthy run as starter for the Atlanta Falcons. Now, this is
Yeah.
huge news, Jimmy Ray, because he's the one variable that we're not certain about. And Brian McFadden will say it till he's blue in the face. He believes in the Falcons. He doesn't have much of a stance one way or the other on Ridder, but the team itself around Ridder, he really believes in. So this is big news. This insight comes from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, who writes that the Falcons will give Ridder every opportunity to show he's the guy long term. The second-year quarterback should benefit from a light schedule to begin the season, as the Falcons only face one 2022 playoff team through the first 6 weeks of the season. If Ridder does struggle for an extended period of time, the Falcons will turn to Taylor Heineke, who has gotten significant training camp reps and a lot of playing time in his career thus far. The job of the Falcons quarterback, regardless of who, will have the luxury of getting the ball to Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts. And as per Robinson, Chris Lindstrom said that he makes at least one or two ridiculous plays every single day in camp. No shockers there. Many of his highlights have come in the passing game. Arthur Smith views him as a positionless player. Jimmy Ray, let's start with Ridder. Yeah. Talk to me about the leash that Ridder will have, the leash that he should have, and how it sits in your eyes.
I think it's kind of old talk when it's like training camp and stuff at this point. I don't know. I think Taylor Heineke was one of the guys to watch, I think, whenever we did AFC.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something. So you know where my head is at with that. But I mean, that's the hope, right? That he has a long leash, that you wouldn't even need to worry about that. You don't need to go down the leash. Hopefully he has a short leash, and then he balls out, so you don't even have to worry. Throw away the leash. He's a free dog. He's that dog on that Falcons offense, you know? So, I mean, he has all the opportunities to ball out at this point with that offense. So I feel that kind of shortens the leash in my head, but I'm not surprised that this is like one of those. Maybe, I guess I haven't really heard this about a lot of quarterbacks. So it's nice and probably a confidence boost for Desmond Ridder. Be like, hey, if you struggle a little bit, I mean, like you will struggle. We'll hold on to you. We'll figure it out. Taylor Heineke's in the back. He'll help you out as a starter. But hopefully it works out for him. He definitely has the opportunity.
And I think that's a great point, Jimmy, because the mindset of a young, first-time starting NFL quarterback has to be like so fragile, right? Mm-hmm. Like we saw it a couple of years ago with Brian Flores and the way he handled the Tua and Ryan Fitzpatrick benching. Just the shortest. Just you throw a pick. I got this trigger right here. I'm pulling it, and you're out.
You can't go back and forth. You can't.
That's
so
do it.
Weird. No two quarterback system
for right. It's so bad for their confidence, and I think you're right. If this is Falcons, personnel putting this stuff out there, it might be the ultimate confidence boost to a player who is as green and new as Desmond Ridder. It might be just what he needs. You know, we're hearing Sam Howell, there's no draft capital whatsoever in Sam Howell. Who knows how long his leash will be? Jordan Love, who knows? You know, we're not really hearing. I think he'll, as a first-round pick, I think he'll have some leeway, right? But we're not hearing a ton of like these people coming out the way they are in support of Ridder. So, Jimmy Ray, you might be onto something there. This might be the ultimate confidence boost more than anything.
Yeah. I find confidence in it. I'm not even Ridder, so
Jimmy's empowered.
Yeah, I'm empowered by this. I'm excited. I hope it works out.
He does have every single opportunity to succeed from a personnel standpoint. Mm-hmm. I can't even fathom being, I'm telling you right now, if you put me behind that line with those receivers, I think I could throw for 100 yards and maybe a tutty or two.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying I'll have a 300-yard set the world on fire type game, but he needs to facilitate, and that's it.
Right. And as we talked about, I think in previous podcasts and stuff, I mean, I think the Falcons will be kind of a run first team if you're going to draft Bijan like that. And then, I mean, they have those pass catchers that you can go to whenever the defense starts playing the run. So, I mean, there's no, I mean, Matt Collins is there too. Scotty Miller, don't forget about them.
Yeah,
they're out there, but
the classics.
Yeah, Desmond Ridder, hopefully it works out.
Yeah, I absolutely love the point though. I'm swept up in the narrative that this report says more about how the Falcons are handling Ridder than it does about the literal how Ridder looks.
Yeah, I would take it literally.
Yeah, I think we can glean that they're giving him every opportunity to win the job, which
100%. Yeah.
Oh, and McFadden agrees.
Whoa,
McFadden Brian McFadden agrees. I could not be more thankful of that. I was hoping for that kind of approval. Mr. Jimmy, before we move on, I have a fun game for you.
Oh no.
Desmond Ridder, Jordan Love, Sam Howell. Who gets benched first, if any?
Oh, whoa. Who gets benched if anybody? Desmond Ridder. I mean, that's.
Wow.
I know. We were just talking about him, but I think
So you're taking the report, you're crumpling it
sure.
up, and you're
Yeah,
throwing it. You think
yeah,
it's all about the
absolutely.
mindset. You think it's all about planting seeds for him
I guess
at this
so. I
point. You
guess
don't think they
that's
mean
just
it.
it's an educated guess.
I like it. I like you called your shot. I like the
Yeah,
confidence.
yeah. I
Anthony,
think I'm a big Sam Howell guy.
I
I
like
think
him too.
he'll be decent. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's a long term starter. Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love will get at least a season. Desmond Ridder. I still don't know if he'll play the whole season because I feel like he did have some chances last year. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like going into this year, what the draft capital, all that stuff. We'll see. But
Okay.
Thomas, there you
And
go,
Thomas
Thomas,
seems like
my
he agrees.
guy.
Thomas seems like he agrees with Jimmy. I'm gonna go out on a limb and agree with Armand. I'm not saying I think he will, but I think if any of them do, he has the least amount of draft capital tied up in him.
Mhm.
He's for all intents and purposes like a lame duck unless he goes out there and proves that he shouldn't be, and that's gonna take a lot. And Anthony is in agreement, so it's 3-2 right now. Me and Armand are outnumbered, but I will stomach that because
I guess we all love Jordan Love, right?
I mean the fact that
I
he's a
did that on
first round
accident.
pick.
Yeah.
I do want to also shout out Armand is showing some love to Armand is showing some love to Hard Knocks, which drops tonight at
I
10
didn't know it
p.m. on
started tonight.
HBO. Not a
I didn't know
sponsor.
that.
We are just showing some love. They are
Yeah,
not
hide
cutting
the
checks for
subscription
us.
services. Yeah,
I
they're not writing us
promise.
checks.
I
Just
promise.
watch a
Uh,
bootleg tomorrow.
and Thomas, with a great point, Rivera's job is had the house, so he needs to succeed according to Thomas. But it's been much ado about a lot of things, Jimmy Ray. But we're here for one reason and one reason only, and that is our
main topic.
oh, what's up,
Good hit.
baby?
Good hit.
Like we said at the beginning of the show, every year, players, fans, coaches, GMs, janitors, I don't know who it is. I'd love to see the list of people who vote for this, but they vote for their top 100 players in the NFL. And then the NFL Network creates a consensus 100 list, and we are treated to watching the players who vote talk about it. The talking heads make really funny quips about other players, a little bit of insight into those players' process, a little insight into who they are on and off the field. It's a beautiful thing. If you're a fan of these players and then you get to watch their little, 3 to 6 minute video cut up from the NFL Network, it's hard not to beam with pride. So Jimmy Ray, there's always going to be controversy because it's the NFL and
Yeah.
opinions are like, I can't say the word, but because everybody has one and not all of them are great. So, Jimmy, in your opinion, and in my opinion, and we'll take comments, we'll take producer picks. This is an open forum discussion. Okay. What stands out to you most about the list? What's your first overall reaction when you look at the NFL top 100?
The one thing, kind of on my list, there's a quarterback at number 72. I don't know if it's because he didn't play as much last year, but who would you rather have, Kirk Cousins or Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, no, Lamar Jackson's spot on the list definitely sticks out to me.
Because Kirk Cousins is at 42, Lamar Jackson's back there at 72. So the 30 spots difference. I mean, is that a 30 spot? I mean, what are we doing here? What are we thinking when this happens? So who? I don't know.
It's honestly hard to even talk about because it almost like I don't want to sound like this guy, but it almost undercuts the integrity of the entire list.
Yeah,
like things like that. And Thomas is coming in with exactly the kind of energy we need.
I wrote this down too. I wrote both those things down as well.
See, I love that we have smart fans, but I hate it because they always steal our answers in the comments.
Yeah, what the heck, dude?
And Armand is co-signing Lamar over Cousins, obviously. I'll say this in defense of the list before we get to Thomas's point on your point, Jimmy, about Lamar and Kirk. I do notice a pretty significant dip in the players' rankings the year following an injury.
Yeah.
Players like Tre'Davious White, who had like an all-pro season, was on the way to having another all-pro season, tears his ACL. He's 91 on the next list, and then the following list, he's not even on it. It's just sort of what happens. Micah Hyde, another player, all-pro from 2 years ago, hurts his neck last year, misses the entire season. He's not on the list. but Jordan Poyer is. It's like, it's things like that. Like, I don't think Von Miller is on the list this year. I'm coming at it from a Bills fan perspective because that's what I
Is
hear
he?
the most about, and that's what I
Might
pay the
not
most
be.
attention to. But I'm sure every team
Huh.
who has stud players who miss time due to injury feel the same way. They feel that same grief of like, really? Like this player, just because they're hurt, like they're really not going to get. So Lamar
Yeah,
missed a
right.
lot of time last year. We kind of got a bad taste in our mouths from Lamar with his whole not showing up to his team's playoff game
Yeah.
to root on his backup and the whole contract hullabaloo, which is the only word for it. So in the list's defense, I'm not saying it's correct, but that is kind of something I've
How
noticed
dare
as a
you defend the
trend.
list? How
I know.
dare
I
you?
don't cancel me. But Jimmy, what
Yeah.
do you think about Thomas? We both had the Hurts is too high thing. So tell me why.
Yeah, I just feel like it's kind of the recency bias there, especially with like Joe Burrow at 6 and like we said, Lamar Jackson in the 70s. I think Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback. I think he had a great year last year, but just throwing him up to 3, I don't know what he was last year. I guess we could look that up, but I'm sure he made a crazy jump. But I mean, he was MVP level last season. I just feel like jumping him ahead of like Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, all
Yeah.
those guys is kind of
Yeah.
kind of insane to me. But that's not to say he's not a great quarterback. Just
Yeah.
a little too soon. Give him another year. But I
Yeah.
think players love him, so that shows in this list.
Absolutely. And as they should, he's a dog. He's my pick
Yeah,
for MVP this year. But that doesn't mean I think he's the second best quarterback in the league. Come on now, Jimmy. And
yeah,
Thomas with a great point. Hurts season is comparable to Dak's rookie year. They value wins too much on the list. I completely agree. Wins, health, availability, flash, and pizzazz, all those things really win big on that list. Armand pointing out the nature of lists. All lists can have mistakes. Very true. I'll just come out and say it because it ties into one of mine, and I'll just tie it in because it's the same discussion. The list as a whole, if you look at it, you're like, oh, sure, I can stomach this for the most part. But then you isolate the positions, right? I did a legit football series earlier in the year ranking my top 5 at every offensive position. And let me tell you, Jimmy, when you look at their top 5 quarterbacks or even their top 10, if you look at the order of the quarterbacks on this list, it's kind of egregious.
yeah. It
It's
is.
actually kind of egregious. Like if you look at Patrick Mahomes as the best quarterback in the NFL, which you should, it's consensus, then I think Josh Allen should be number 2, but I can stomach Joe Burrow being number 2. I'm not sure
Yeah,
if I can stomach Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow both being ahead of Josh Allen. Josh Allen being the 8th best player in the NFL,
4th best quarterback.
I just find it to be a bit atrocious, personally. And then
Yeah, I completely agree.
if I'm following the logic of the list, would 5 be who would be the next name? I'm forgetting off the top of my head.
After Josh Allen, is it?
Y-
Where the heck is he? Is it Justin Herbert? Justin Herbert's at 32. I think that's
uh,
the next
I
quarterback.
think you're right. It is. And you
Yeah,
know
it
what?
is.
That's another thing. Justin Herbert at 32. No Trevor Lawrence is basically left for dead on this list. I
Yeah.
mean, good for him for getting a shout out, but if I'm correct, I recall Justin Fields being above some QBs. Yeah,
Trevor
Justin
Lawrence,
Fields is
yeah.
ahead of Trevor Lawrence.
That's
Okay. So are you seeing what I'm saying? Like on its
maybe
own,
they're
it's
just going like
fine.
more exciting quarterbacks, kind of
But
get tossed up there a little
you're
more.
right, but
'Cause I
then
think
let's
they're
change the
exciting.
name of the list.
You're right. Most
Right?
exciting,
It's
most
a little
exciting top 100.
it's a little misleading. It's a little misleading. I'm not gonna poo-poo. I could talk about the quarterbacks all day, but my top 5 quarterbacks, I had Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Hurts, Lamar. Their top
Yeah.
5 is just
Jared Goff's above Lamar as well. No, shout out
love
Jared.
Jared Goff.
Goat,
Glad he's on the
GOAT.
list.
Yeah.
Jared Goff shut a lot of people up,
He's
myself included,
above
last year.
he's above his wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown. Which the position discrepancy is always a tough way to rank them.
And you know what? I have another point, but I don't want to like just keep ranting about the quarterback thing. I want to point out a couple things. Adrian, Nick Bosa being the 4th best player on the list. Sick. I'm fine with that. Perennial defensive player of the year candidate. Good Lord, how do we forget to include him on the list of players with Hall of Fame trajectory? Not 100% sure if that's accurate. I remember when we got to the 49ers, we just went on for like like 10 minutes, just like, oh, then this player
You could,
and this player and this player. That team is loaded. It's got
Yeah, that's
some
what
of the most.
this list has a bunch of 49ers players.
Oh, dude, because it's one of they have some of the
Insane.
most
Fred
high
Warner's
end
up
talent.
there, George
Yep.
Kittle,
Yep.
Drake
Fred
Greenlaw
Warner, George.
somewhere.
I love Ayuk. I love Debo.
Whew.
You know, I
Those
love
lucky
their
guys.
offensive line. You know,
Trent Williams, yeah.
100%. So thank you, Adrian, for pointing that out. If we forgot that, then yeah, we suck. Cancel us. Thomas. LaShawn McCoy said a lot of players don't take the time to fill out their ballots. I believe that. Yeah, I can see
that's
this
the point of this list. That's why I don't get too crazy with it, but yeah, it's tough to say. Like, yeah, the players are gonna put their full effort in here. I don't know when they fill it out. Either if it's like in the middle of the off season, probably, but they probably don't care too much about it.
Yeah, it's probably the kind of thing where like if you wanted to, you could probably like, you know, like prom king when you had like that one goofy kid who you're like, dude, how funny would it be if we get this kid prom king, and then you just throw a bunch of votes in there. Like next year, I bet you they could get like Blake Bortles on the list if they wanted to.
Everybody did they do that in an NBA All-Star game one time? I forget who made. Somebody made the list. That was crazy. That was like a reserve, and they're like, "How did he end up there?" That'd be fun. Do that for the Pro Bowl this year.
Let's find like the most hilarious player in the NFL and then get them on the let's get Jameis on there next year.
I'm down for that. Let's make it happen.
Chase Daniels, Irv Smith.
Irv, my guy.
Player. So yeah, so that's that, and Adrian's owning his he's doing a self call out. We respect that, Adrian. You're a better man than I. I'll just deny until I die when it comes to if I forgot Bosa. Sam Darnold. Yeah, let's get Darnold on the list. That's hilarious. Jimmy, what is the next big reaction that you have on the list? We talked about the quarterbacks. We talked about the process. What's your next big reaction to this list?
Sauce Gardner being at 23, best cornerback on the list. That's kind of like I think he's great. I think he could win Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah, I'm leaning that way. I'm not saying he's not. I mean, I feel like it's a good spot. It was just like that's what kind of popped off the list to me. It was like Sauce Gardner coming off his rookie season. He's already the top cornerback, and he's 23 ahead of like Jair Alexander, Derwin James. Obviously, is a safety. Jalen Ramsey, all these guys, but he definitely played amazingly last season. It was just something that popped off the list to me.
I like that. That's an interesting point. Yeah, 1 year of doing it, good stuff, right. Sauce. But like, let's see it consistently. I don't hate it. You know, he's my Defensive Player of the Year pick, my way too early Defensive Player of the Year pick.
Yeah.
So I'm not mad at it. I love the love for Micah Parsons. I was shocked to see Aaron Donald as low as he was this year. Most people consistently put him at the best player in the NFL. I'm not used to seeing him. I think he was in the teens.
Yeah, he's 11. He's 11, so he's right in there.
Yeah, I'm not used to seeing him anywhere but that top 5. No Brady is pretty weird.
Yeah. They should just throw him on there regardless if he's in the league or not. Because he was number 1 last year. So
yeah, give him an honorable mention, which he should have never been over Mahomes, honestly. But I'm looking at this list. I'll say what jumps out to me. I love the newcomers on this list. This is the first year Matt Milano was on this list, which I absolutely love. Matt Milano and Anthony loves Matt Milano. We talk about his game often on this podcast. He's a missile wearing a linebacker, wearing a Bills uniform. I love Mike Elmore. Cowboys had 7 players on this list. Micah Parsons deserved top 10. Your thoughts? I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Micah Parsons could be top.
Could have been higher.
6 for me, and I wouldn't poo-poo that.
Nick Bosa, Aaron Donald, they're like the top 3 kind of dogs on the defensive end. So
yeah, if we isolate the variable like we talked about, I like seeing Aaron Rodgers on the list. I like seeing Dak on the list. I think they're both worthy of being on this list. I think Trayvon Diggs at 60, getting back to Mike's question, for a player who led the league in picks last year, did have a little bit of a down year, at least in terms of regression to the mean statistically, but he's the epitome of a boom bust cornerback. I think you have to respect that. He's either going to get the pick or he's going to give up the touchdown. You know, there's something to be said for that kind of aggression at the catch point. I respect it.
Tony Pollard's up there too.
Yeah, seeing a player like
at 55.
Yeah, seeing a player like Tony Pollard in his first year, I'll say that's another thing I want to highlight. I love the first timer. I'm in Ross St. Brown. Yeah. I don't think Goff's been on the list in a long time, if
I
ever.
don't think so either.
So
Yeah,
it's pretty
probably
cool
since
seeing.
his Rams Super Bowl kind of run. I'm sure he was up there for sure.
Pretty cool seeing him on
Probably
this
top
list.
25.
Yeah, I love Hufanga getting his
I love that
crack.
name.
The fact that Gino made it. Can we just every time we get a chance to like victory lap or like celebrate Gino while we can, like I want to.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. I mean, quarterbacks get love, and Geno Smith deserves some love on this list. So he's back.
yeah, I absolutely love Geno Smith. I'm glad that he's on the list. So I'll say in addition, so I had the quarterbacks ordering and wonkiness. We talked through the process a little bit, talked through the newcomers a little bit. Jimmy, is there a name of a player on this list that you don't think belongs on this list, that you don't think deserves to be on this list?
Ooh, that's a tough one because I think all these guys kind of deserve to be on here in some way.
Yeah.
But there's also some guys that were left off of the list, like DK Metcalf was like one away from being on the
Crazy.
list. TJ Hawkinson. So I mean, if
do you have the list? Do you have the? I think they do an honorable mentions every year. Do you have the?
yeah, like the top 10 that were missed is like Quandre Diggs, Cordarrelle Patterson was on there too.
Wow, yeah, he was on the list last year.
Kevin Byard.
Okay.
James Bradbury, I think he's one of the better defensive backs.
Shocking snub.
Darius Slay is in 60s or something like that, I believe.
Yeah.
Joel Bitonio on the Browns.
Guard.
TJ Hawkinson, Jimmy Ward, Albert Kamara, Jordan Brooks, DK Metcalf is kind of the
wow. The
10
honorable mention
missed.
has some names, man.
So, and that's just 10 of them. I'm sure there's like a bunch more that we could look at. That's like those guys could possibly be in the list. I mean, there's a lot of talent in the NFL as a whole.
Yeah. So I guess I'm gonna just play a game, Jimmy, like I did before, and you're just gonna have to play ball with me here, man. Gun to your head. Pick a name on this list that doesn't belong there.
Jamal Williams. I know he had a lot of touchdowns, but I mean,
do you know who our producer is, bro? You're lucky that you're
not. I know. Hey, he's on a different team now. He's on a different team now.
You don't have doodles on your face right now, man.
I'm talking about Saints Jamal Williams.
There you go.
He could drop down off the list. If I'm looking at somebody who could be off the list next year, Jamal Williams is definitely one of those. I think Marlon Humphrey should be higher. I know we're talking about people off, but I feel like Marlon Humphrey's kind of underrated at 92 down there, just hanging out.
Yeah, I can dig that. I'll say this. I'll call one out. I'll call a name out. I'll crack my knuckles. I'll get my hands dirty.
Say Aiden Hutchinson. Just go off on the Lions.
I am not gonna get. I don't want to get bounced from the show, Jimmy. I like hosting. I'm gonna go with Dalvin Cook. Okay. I just think he lost a little bit of a step. He doesn't even have a team right now. He's still a great, fine, running back, but I think
he still had 1,000 yards still, right?
He still had 1,000 yards, but I just think the running back position is kind of nothing against it, but the only free agent. Exactly. I feel like that says a little something. He is rumored to be being quite picky about the money and the landing spot. So, I'm not, but I guess if we're going by trajectory, I don't like you said, I don't see him on this list next year, which is a great question, a great follow-up question, Jimmy. Who's on this list this year that won't be next year? And you can't pick Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, I can.
Nope. He's taken.
I'll have to. I mean, Tony Pollard, I feel like could easily not be on this list.
Oh, shout out to Thomas here. Yeah, Luvu, are you kidding me? He absolutely belongs on the list. CJ Mosley, I haven't seen a ton of his game in recent years, so I can't really speak on whether or not. I think he's been constantly hurt. So I feel like we can't really speak on whether or not he belongs on the list, but
yeah, he's still in the middle.
Where's his hurt punishment? Where's his Micah Hyde, you're bodied? Where's his Tre'Davious White, you're bodied? Where's his Von Miller, you're bodied? You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of weird that they're giving this love, to CJ Mosley when I feel like he's missed a lot of time over the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe he has.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen a full season from him in a while.
Maybe he had a quiet full season last year.
But then he shouldn't be in the top 100.
He had 158 tackles, a sack, and interception.
Did he play all 16 games? 17?
Yeah, he did. Oh, he's actually played all games the past 2 seasons. So I guess
okay. So it was the Jets version of CJ Mosley that was missing a lot of time.
Yeah, he's still on the Jets.
Okay, I feel like I haven't heard much from him in a long time.
Yeah,
I might
2019
be right now,
he missed. 2019 he missed. He only played 2 games, and in 2020 he didn't play at all. So now the past 2 seasons,
That's the guy who I
he's
agree.
been
That's the guy who
falling
I
out a little
remember.
bit.
Okay,
Yeah,
he's
so
gotten
now
back to.
yeah,
I gotta eat that.
he has career highs in tackles. Tackles for losses aren't really there, but I mean he's showing out for the Jets.
And
so,
Thomas is just shouting out that Luvu is just straight up better in every area. And I mean, based on what I've seen, based on my eyes, I would agree. I mean, but now that I know that Mosley has been back out there and that he's contributing again, like I said, I'll eat my words. I just kind of I missed it. I missed the Mosley hype. Maybe I'm not. Oh, Armand is probably fuming at me right now. I'm so sorry,
no.
Armand. Okay, it was a COVID opt out in 2020.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Okay.
I forgot about that.
And then 2019, I remember he missed a bunch of games.
Mhm.
But yeah, to quote Adrian, I'm just calling myself out. I was sleeping on Mosley. So thanks for shining the light, Armand. I still agree with Thomas. I still think Luvu belongs on the list over Mosley. Let me look here really quick. Let me see if I can find a name here that's on the list now and won't
Jason
be next year.
Kelsey might not be because he might retire. So
there you go. That's a good call out. I think I'll take Harrison Smith.
Okay.
I'm ready. I think he's still a great safety. We always say we always give respect where it's due to Harrison Smith, but I think this might be his sunset year. He'll either retire or his play will decrease enough to a point where I don't think he'll be that guy anymore, which means I don't think he'll be on the list.
Yeah, Bobby Wagner could be put in there too, but he did just join back with the Seahawks, so he might get I mean, he's still a dog, so it's just like kind of the older guys kind of gets dwindled out towards the end of
he's a dog. Career. He's a dog that like doesn't really like jump up and down anymore. Like you have to pick him up to put him on the couch. You have to bring him up and down stairs. Like that's the kind of dog that Bobby Wagner, CJ Mosley, like Harrison Smith, those guys all have that dog in them. They're just like one of those like dogs that you have to like carry everywhere and. You need to get him a special kind of food type thing. But Armand very gracefully admitted CJ's play has declined due to age, aka Father Time, who is undefeated, by the way. Never lost a match in NFL or world history. Jimmy Ray, my brother, I got a couple more questions for you. Is there anything else jumping out at you from this list before we move on?
Colts guy, DeForest Buckner.
Nice.
At 71. So he's
nice.
He's pretty good. That's the only guy I believe on here from the Colts. So we'll see if we can add some next year.
I have a good feeling that there will be at least one or two more Colts on that list next year.
I think Shaq's completely off because he didn't really play last year.
No love for Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, wait.
I was going to say.
Is he on here?
Yo, if he's off the list, that's crazy. That would be crazy disrespect.
I mean, I think he also didn't. He was on and off last year, too. My guy.
No, he's not. He's off the list.
Oh, no.
I don't see it. I'm scrolling. I don't see it.
It's a tough scene.
This is blasphemous.
Quentin Nelson's just gone, too.
Oh, come on.
I mean,
like
a lot of these guys. Shaq Leonard's obviously. I already talked about him.
And so I'm glad you highlighted the Colts love. I'm glad DeForest Buckner got some love.
Have to.
Anything else you want to say on that point before I have a couple more questions before we drive this ship home? You ready for the next couple?
Let's do it.
And maybe I can open up the floor to Thomas, Armand, and Anthony here, but is it just me or is there like a collective like forgetting about the offensive line here? Like I feel like
I mean Zach Martin's on there.
Trent Williams, I think
Trent Williams is obviously on there. I mean, it's the guys who
I just feel like they're completely sleeping on that position. Like offensive line, I think deserves more love on the NFL 100. Yeah. I really do believe that.
Is that
offensive linemen and specialists? Is Justin Tucker the only specialist? Is he on it?
No, he's not on it.
That's crazy. See what I'm saying? Like, come on.
Yeah, it's weirdly like weighted positions. It's the prospect of like, hey, we're gonna put a bunch of people in the top 100.
Yeah.
But then we're also gonna try. Like, how do you compare two different positions like that?
Yeah.
I mean, like, how good are they at that position? Or how? I mean, because Justin Tucker is that guy. He's gonna be a Hall of Famer, probably
100%. First ballot,
if not the like best kicker of all time, if he keeps being as consistent as he is in terms of percentage. But it's just impossible to do these kinds of lists, and we could talk about it forever. But like, I mean, how are you gonna compare a running back to like a linebacker? Like, how are you gonna? I mean, I guess you could obviously say how good they are at their
Yeah.
position, but like it's just you got to like weight it like all 22. You got to weigh the percentages and stuff of the positions and how much they're valued in the NFL, I guess. Like
Yeah.
how much they're paid. I mean, obviously running backs are a lot. They're in the news right now, but
Right.
it's definitely interesting.
It's really complicated, Jimmy, because if you're not a player who is a skill position player or a flashy player or this, that, and the third, you're not considered. But then there's great players that are left off the list. And, Armand shouts out offensive line does deserve more respect and love on these lists.
Yeah.
Thomas, hearkening back to a different era. Someday we're going to be saying to our grandkids, there used to be 2 running backs, and the second one was called a fullback, and they were bigger than the running back, and they paved the way for the running
Back
back.
in my day.
Yeah, back in my day.
Yeah, Patrick Ricard of the Ravens, he was playing with I just saw news today, he was playing with the offensive line like straight up during training camp. He was a fullback. He's a fullback.
I love Patrick
Ricard. Maybe he's just going to hop on the offensive line like that.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in having a good fullback, and Anthony and I talk about it all the time. Make fullbacks great again. Make fullbacks matter. We've said a million times we don't want the tight end to go the way of the fullback because, now he said Ricard and Juice were like locks. Yeah, Patrick Ricard, Kyle Juszczyk, John Kuhn of the Packers. These are all players who made a mark at that position. There was TJ Duckett of the Atlanta Falcons. I'm trying to think of other just legendary fullbacks. I absolutely love the fullback position. And I miss it. I miss it. And I'm sad that there's no fullback love on the list. But Mike Allstott of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You guys remember Mike Allstott?
Yeah.
Legend. That dude was a linebacker who played fullback.
Mike Tolbert. There you go. He was like a mix. He was a different breed.
For one season. Yeah, he was a Panther, a Bill. Yeah. Had a fumbling problem, so I wasn't too mad when the Bills cut him. Jimmy, next question, maybe the last question. Any names not on this list that you're confident will be on this list next year? Give me a handful.
Oh gosh, I mean, I feel like Shaq Leonard. I mean, it's all the injured kind of players. Like Shaq Leonard, I think will probably end up on this list again. I wouldn't say like Quentin Nelson or anything like that because I think the offensive line has a lot to work on.
Yeah.
But like TJ Hawkinson, I feel like he could be in that upper tier of tight ends at some point with like the George Kittle, Mark Andrews. I think Travis Kelce is in a tier of his own. DK Metcalf, I think he's just going to ball out. I think he deserves to be up there already, especially with his quarterback. It's kind of interesting, but
yeah, the Metcalf shade is wild. I'm a bit disturbed that he didn't make the list, and I'll go right to player 100. This is going to sound ignorant because I love Devontae Smith, but
yeah,
would you take Devontae Smith over DK Metcalf? I don't know about myself.
I don't think so.
In fantasy, I would. In real life, I don't know. DK Metcalf is special,
and we'll definitely see some rookies on this list too. Next year.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, Richardson, Stroud, Bijan.
Bijan's going to be on this list for sure.
Those types of players. Luvu and Horn is Thomas's rec. He's got to do his Panthers. He's got to bang his Panthers homer drum. I'll bang mine. Micah Hyde, hello. Tre'Davious White, hello. Von Miller, hello. Dalton Kincaid, deep cut.
Hello, that's the guy.
Hello. I've been waiting for Deion Dawkins to get some love. Mitch Morse. Like I said, the offensive line gets no love, no respect, but watch out for those Buffalo Bills players, man. Ed Oliver, Greg Rousseau. I'm glad Matt Milano finally got his love. Jordan Poyer, All-Pro Lano. We got some Bills love, thank God. Not that we're too desperate for it these days. It's been a good couple years for us. We've been nice and fat and happy over here as Bills fans. But
Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
He's
a
guy
Ridley to play as well.
Here, if Trevor Lawrence wants to move up, Calvin Ridley will move on up with him. So
hell yeah. And is Jags edge Josh Allen on the list?
No, he's not.
Look for him. He's a stud.
I believe there was just one Josh Allen on the list. But the other Josh Allen did make him look like a fool in one game, I think.
Oh, dude. Jags Josh Allen ate my Josh Allen's lunch money.
That was fun. That was a fun day for stats. Josh Allen, first time getting sucked by Josh Allen.
Oh, man.
That was exciting. That was a fun day.
That was a fun day for stats, but it was a horrible day for Bills fans. I didn't want to leave my house.
True. That's very true.
Urban Meyer beat us. Don't ever forget that. Anthony, Thomas, Armand, Jimmy, anything else about the NFL 100? Because this is it.
Whoa.
After this, we're turning the page.
Whoa.
I am so happy you said that, Thomas, because
Right.
why would you say something so controversial yet
Yeah,
so brave?
bold. Yeah, so brave. So
Why would
bold, Thomas
I love
Bray.
it. I love it. He's calling his shot. I will bet a good amount of American currency that is not the case. If you want to bet, text me terms and I'll agree to them. I'm not taking it. I think he might not even, I think he might not even start next year. So
Oh, Bailey Zappi. Here we go.
Zappy season.
Caleb
Zip zap zap.
Williams. Caleb Williams will be on the list next year, apparently.
I mean,
Even
yeah,
without playing.
dude. If you could put rookies on this list, Bijan would be one already.
Whoa, he would be the number 1 running back. Josh Jacobs as the number 1 running back is definitely. I mean, he balled out last year.
Yeah,
But he might go down next year, especially if he misses at least 1 game.
Oh, here we go. The chat is getting hot. Armand says Dodson will be on the list next year. Couldn't agree more, actually. I think Dodson is absolutely a great answer.
I think we all agree on that.
Mac Jones says Mike Elmore will be pulled by week 10. That is so bold, Mike Elmore, but I don't think that I disagree with you. I think maybe I'll say week 13.
Oh, wow.
Give me a little more string there, but
that's a little too late though.
Yeah, because at that point, I mean, but maybe they just want to see what they have in Zappy before they cut bait on both. I'm just wish casting here. That's an Adrian Revito term, but I don't love my Patriots. I will give respect where it's due, though. I heard somebody say from Patriots camp that their receivers look like horrendous and that there's no 1 or 2 and maybe a handful of 3s. I think Juju's a little better than a 3. I think Juju's a low end 2, and I think he'll make some moves in that offense. I think he'll make some waves.
There you go. I could see that.
Yeah.
Juju? Yeah. I mean, maybe. I wouldn't put my money on it, but
same. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if I were betting fantasy, I'd say he'll be a wide receiver 3.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, at his ceiling. Anyways, really quick before we wrap it up, we have Armand, we have Thomas, we have Mike Elmore in the chat who kept things going today. We appreciate you, Mike.
Yeah,
Jimmy, and anyone who's got anything before we wrap this up, the floor is open. We've gotten everything off our chests that we needed to. I won't rest personally until my Josh Allen is viewed as a top 5 player by this list. But
Cam Akers next year.
Ooh, Cam Akers is one of those names.
He could ball out. I'm just going through my head of names.
Could Stafford play his way back on this list?
No.
Anthony will say yes.
Oh, okay. Shout out Anthony. My guy. You're speaking for Anthony right now. What if he says no?
Anthony, confirm or deny Matt Stafford on this list next year? Yeah or nay?
Whoa! I told you. Confirmed.
Anthony is on the record saying he's got a bounce back year for Staff and the Rams. This show, oh my goodness, what a fun discussion, because we all have favorite teams, we all have favorite players, and we hate seeing them not viewed as the best player in the league, right? So how fun just to go through that and just tease that out. Jimmy, thank you so much for everything. You are just one of the best co-hosts that I can ask for. I appreciate you. Shout out to Anthony for keeping the keys alive, the soundboard alive, all that fun stuff. Jimmy, oh, don't cry.
You just made me tear up a little bit. Happy.
I want to shout out Thomas and Armand and Mike for keeping the chat going, keeping the chat alive. Before we go, Elmore, Gibbs of the Lions will be a top 50 on this list next year. Anthony, yay or nay? Just as I suspected. I think maybe that's a little high. I'll put him in the 70s. But yeah, I think Gibbs will be on this list next year. I think Bryce Young will be on this list next year. How's that, Thomas? How's that? I think Miles Sanders will be on this list next year. Oh, hot takes all around. I could just say anything now. I think Irv Smith will be on this list next year. I can't thank the chat enough. I can't thank Jimmy and Anthony enough. Subscribe to Legit Football if you're not already subscribed. Go to legitfootball.com. Sign up for the free daily newsletter. It's the best way to start your day. A 5-minute read, all the NFL stories. Digestible, easy, simple. Guys, next time we see you, we'll be talking preseason football. Don't forget tomorrow night, Brian McFadden, 8 p.m. on the West Coast, 11 p.m. on the East Coast, 30 minutes of football. Don't forget Thursday, I will not be here. I will be traveling to New York. going to go to the motherland. I'm going to try to see my Bills practice if I can. Anybody has a plug to Bills training camp tickets who listens to the show, please reach out to me because I'm not trying to pay an arm and a leg. Scalpers have taken over the training camp market in upstate New York.
Just show up. Just show up. They'll know who you are.
You know what? You're right.
Say with Josh Allen. You're fine.
I should get a press pass. No, so I will see you guys next week, but don't worry. I will be thinking about you every second until the moment we are all reunited and we get to talk about preseason football. Thank you guys again. This is the Legit Football NFL podcast, and we are out.